We have no fear of whatever Trump is doing on the other side. And I've just signed off on a huge mechanization, program that every region we have a mechanized center for agricultural mechanization and have trainees and all of that. That is our path to food sovereignty, food security. You remove hunger from poverty, you have defeated poverty.
What is the market? No.
All right, that in a way is not part of what we are talking about. There is a connection to that. I brought it in so that you know how seriously Nigeria has been compromised and how much of desperation you should be in. In any way that you think you can salvage this country, you may not have the power, the political power, but you can sensitize people. Now, that was your president that, from not being afraid of whatever Trump is doing from the other side, now to talking about mechanization of food, that you will remove poverty, you will hunger from poverty, then that ends poverty. Now, talking about mechanization of food, I'm sure you know that there is this poison that has been designed to reduce human population. Anybody can deny it. I'm reading a novel written by the Americans, and though it is a fiction, but you see, they are in one of the chapters, characters, politicians would bring in GMO food, so that the people would, feel safe that there is enough food. But the politicians won't eat the food. They will spend millions in acquiring organic food themselves. They will eat because they know that the genetically modified foods have negative impact, negative side effects on anybody that consumes it. And who is behind the GMO? It is a human devil that has been, concerned with the programs on how to downsize humans. And so we are looking at the number of the beast, 666. There is something about that number. And if you look at what is happening now, in 2023, 2024, there was this kind of global outcry, global conspiracy that came from the LGBTQ community, and it was like they would drive every one of us out of this earth. That governments, some Western governments, were putting pressure on African governments to accept this form of life, and that seemed not to have worked. Now it's like some person somewhere sponsoring Islam. This video would show you a lot. President Trump is talking tough how America will not allow, these people to migrate into America, to destroy America, but they're already in the land. And we're talking about Great Britain. Now, the Western world has been ravaged and have been taken over by these monsters. And you will see the impunity. We're talking about Nigeria. We are grappling with the effect of the atrocities in Nigeria and in Africa. All right. So your president is talking about mechanized food from Trump and all that. Now, that was the same thing that he used to talk about Agbado Ewa when he was campaigning. And now he is here. There is no Agbado to eat, no Ewa to eat. And he's talking about mechanized food. Anyway, I said I'm not going to spend so much time on it. Now, I'm going to allow you to look at this, but because we're going to discuss about this video at the very end. I will show you a series of short clips that will make you think and rethink. You're welcome to the End Time Truth Television. Thank you very much. I'll be back. Take care now.
Man might buy or sell, save he have the mark or the name or the number of the beast. Mark, name, number. We're all about the mark. We forget about the name and the number. For this number of a man and the number is 666. It's not 666. That's a translation. That's the number. How many can see it? Can you see it? The cross swords. Bismillah, which means in the name of Allah. And by the way, when you go to jihad, you wear this on your forehead. See where they're wearing it? On their foreheads. This is what he saw. It was Aramaic. The Bible's written in Aramaic, not English. So we look and we go, 666. No, that's what he saw. XLFS. Can you see it now? Bismillah. That's what he saw. The name of the beast. Bismillah. In the name of Allah. When I saw that symbol, I was like, dear God, if that doesn't shock you, I don't know what will. Oh my Lord.
All right. Stay here. Now, so much is happening. And as much as we won't stop crying out for the atrocities that governments in Nigeria is committing against other Nigerian citizens, we also need to take a look at some of these things.
Say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of lack of decision making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
What kind of advice would you give to European politicians?
There has to be balance between rights and between law enforcement. I'll give you an example. We get criticized. We were criticized in France for having supported all these extremist mosques or Islamic institutions in France for years. And we said, show me one, and we'll shut it down the next day. Lots of talk, but no evidence. When the French Senate did an investigation, they discovered that less than 1% of funding for French Islamic institutions came from the Gulf. Most of it came from North Africa and Turkey, because that's where the vast majority of French Muslims came from. We have a policy in Saudi Arabia, zero tolerance for extremists. If somebody is an imam in a mosque and is preaching hate and violence, they get dismissed, reprimanded, reprogrammed, and then dismissed if it doesn't. Can we dismiss thousands of them? But then they go into, well, no, we don't want to infringe on their freedom of expression. Well, it's either, if they preach, it's hatred, and if you stop them from preaching, it's, we can't do that because of freedom of expression. So then, stop complaining. That's what we're up against in a number of countries.
What is planned now? So what you're seeing here now is these are people from Saudi Arabia. I still saw this man talking to somebody and saying, "You cannot be more Arab than I am. You cannot be more Islamic than I am." Now it's like somebody trying to be more Catholic than the Pope. Now, if a Saudi prince is sitting telling the Europeans this, then there is a problem, because actually lack of decision making is what is ravaging the world now. This hydra-headed monster called Islam is ravaging the whole world. And that was the reason I paid serious attention when I saw that pastor trying to use that to explain the number of the beast, 666. And we're going to see this. Now, Europe is almost taking the Great Britain that brought Christianity to Africa. The mighty America that brought Christianity to Africa is falling to Islam. Now, the problem is this, the shock is that those who are supposed to act are not acting. Just like in Nigeria, the government seems to be sponsoring terrorism against her own people because they are docile. They are not doing anything. And I heard that a certain head of state in this country said that if insurgency lasts, is it 24 hours or a week, then it means that the government has a hand in it. I didn't make that quote. I came to hear about that quote. And so what is actually happening? Is it that some big, people, some mighty individuals that want to downsize the number of people on earth are the ones sponsoring terrorism all over the world? Now, places like America for now are not facing the bullet. Britain is not facing the bullet yet. But over here, we are facing the bullet, because even as Christians, you are not even allowed to own a dead gun. If you defend yourself and kill them that have come to kill you, you will be judged by the government. A time came in this land that the government were busy collecting locally made guns, hunters' guns, from those villagers that ought to use these things to defend themselves. So what are we saying is somebody came along and said that this government signed an agreement with the terrorists. Would you actually argue against that? But listen to this man using what is happening in Nigeria now to explain what will eventually take place very soon in the Western world.
Playing out in Nigeria right now could be what would play out in America 30 years from now. To acknowledge how Islam has conquered every nation it's touched, it hasn't been by voluntary conversion. It has been done by the sword. It is not in their religion to assimilate to a culture in an area that you move into. You are commanded to dominate that culture and make everybody submit to you. So for people to say, there's a mosque going up in my backyard, let's celebrate it. No. That is a sign of them conquering your territory. That is how they view it. If they have a minority population, they have to be nice, play nice, and be quiet. But once they reach that threshold, the political threshold, is when the violence occurs. I get the same story from survivors in Nigeria. They say, the Fulani moved in, our kids played together, we did business together, everything was fine until the one day where even their neighbors partook in the attacks and then stole their property and took everything they had. Fulani have a saying in Nigeria, treat the Christian like a pet chicken. You raise the chicken, you feed the chicken, you pet the chicken, love the chicken until it's time to chop off its head.
For more content to help you with your Christian walk, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe.
In the United States, we reject.
Now, this is President Trump talking to, I love this guy because he's blunt and direct. This was in a UN setting that he was making this statement. But I don't know if he is unaware of the fact that even his own land has been taken.
The idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before with different customs, religions, with different everything. Where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims, or claimed refugee status for illegitimate reasons, they should in many cases be immediately sent home. And while we will always have a big heart for places and people that are struggling and truly compassionate, answers will be given. We have to solve the problem, and we have to solve it in their countries, not create new problems in our countries. And we are very helpful to a lot of countries that are just not able to send their people anymore.
The United Kingdom will be a Muslim-majority country in the next 20 years.
1,000%.
London already is.
While Christians are aborting their babies, killing their babies, making their kids gay and homosexual, getting the rest of the young people who happen to escape abortion, they trans themselves and cut and butcher their body parts. Islam is spreading like a virus. Have you been to London's town recently?
Now, the most common baby name in London is
Muhammad.
what? Most common baby name in Dublin is what?
Muhammad.
The most common baby name in Copenhagen is
Muhammad.
It is a religion of conquest, and it is not a conspiracy theory. It is a stated doctrine of the Hadith.
Literally.
To take over new lands.
We need to stop this lie that Islam that took over Egypt, took over Israel, and Israel took the nation back, that took over Syria, that took over Algeria, took over Jordan, that took over Saudi Arabia, that took over Iran, that took over Afghanistan.
And now all of Europe, and Indonesia, and most of Africa.
And Malaysia.
It is a religion of conquest.
Now, so it is frightening. It is frightening because, people are speaking, people are talking. Like the wonderful and excellent speech delivered there by Donald Trump, I guess that the damage was already done before he came to power. And, Nigerians don't like Trump just because of the deportation policy that he came along with, the strictness that he came along with to return those that are not supposed to be in the country back to where they came from. Now, in a way, if you look at what is happening now, you may not blame the man so much. Now, I will tell you that, I will show you, for you to see that even America, for now, looks safe. But there is a very big agenda. Now, the government have not been doing enough, so the citizens have decided on their own to fight back. So what you're seeing here now, a group of black Americans, some Americans, fighting against Muslims that station themselves in a particular place in that country. Take a look at this. So that took place in Chicago. And, I ask Christians. Christians may come out to preach the gospel and preach it according to the scriptures, and they will be arrested. But these people do all manner of things on the streets. Nobody asks them questions. The police won't arrest them. So if you remember what happened 2003, 2023, 2024 with the LGBTQ, that even they had the Pride Parade, that you don't dare oppose them. That is the same thing that is happening. So it's like the ideology, that the ideas of making people gay so that the population of the world will drop, did not work. So those behind that revolution that time had gone back and they found out that this would be the best way to do it. Use bullets, use sword, use religion to kill. Give them big sponsorship. I don't understand. But are we actually going to have the 666 coming from these terrible people?
Migrating here. Why am I in America? The Prophet ﷺ's companions left Mecca to go to a land that had no Muslims. We are in this country purely for the sake of Allah.
As we're here living in the US, what is our role now? Let me just quote for you an ayah of the Quran. Allah is saying, do not obey the disbelievers. Don't yield to them. And then He gives us the process of what to do next. وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. And so make jihad against them.
What is your duty as a member of the Ummah now that you are also an American? It is our physical jihad duty to fight the entire earth until we enter it into the Ummah.
This is the world's most dangerous ideology. In the first part of the 20th century, the answer was fascism. First manifest in Italy in the 1920s, and then in Nazi Germany and in Imperial Japan. It took a world war and 50 million dead to stamp it out. In the second half of the 20th century, the answer was communism. Between the Soviet Union, Mao's China, and their client states, at least 100 million people were killed in its wake. Today, the answer is Islamism, a radical and often violent form of Islam. Like fascism and communism, Islamism is totalitarian in nature. The state controls everything. Also, like fascism and communism, Islamism is inherently expansionist. It always seeks to get bigger, cross borders, and bring as many peoples as possible under its control. And, like fascism and communism, many of Islamism's adherents are prepared to kill to achieve its aims. Those aims are antithetical to everything Western and other free societies stand for. Free speech, free enterprise, freedom to practice or not to practice any religion, freedom of assembly, a free press, and, of course, fundamental human and civil rights for all their citizens. Anyone who opposes Islamist expansionism is the enemy and must be destroyed. That, of course, includes the United States, all of Europe, and Israel.
Habibi, let me tell you something in the eyes of Allah.
Okay. So what do they bring? They bring anarchy. They bring destruction. They bring pain. They bring domination. Now, when these people eventually take over, now, to them, rape is not a sin, right? It's not a sin. Now, listen to this, because, shit.
As far as sin is concerned, yeah? The one that sells drugs, good or bad? Just very quickly, good or bad? Bad. How about the murderer? How about the one who commits adultery, zina? What about the one who rapes a child? What about the one who drinks alcohol? What about the one who does the biggest of the kabair, good or bad? This person, one person that commits all of these sins, he commits all of these sins on a daily basis, but he prays, is better in the eyes of Allah than the one that doesn't commit any of these sins but doesn't pray.
Oh God, did you hear that? Did you just hear that? In as much as you pray, and that tells you why many of them are so committed. Sometimes we Christians will use them as motivation that they are committed to their prayers and all that. So if you are committing all these things, you commit murder, you rape a child, you drink, all kinds of things. Now, if you do them, but you pray every day in the sight of Allah, you are okay. But you are worse than, the person doing this and that, but he prays, if you don't do them, but you don't pray. So picture the kind of a community that these people would give to you, would give to the world, if this thing that is ravaging the earth now is not stopped. Now, I wonder why politicians are the same everywhere. The leaders of these countries worldwide are seeing these things happening. Nobody is trying to do anything. Even the country that tries to stop them, media houses, hypocrites, try to demonize them. But listen to this Archbishop.
This is very serious. Now we are witnessing an invasion. They are not refugees. No, this is an invasion of mass Islamization of Europe, which already went on for at minimum 50, 60 years, Islamization in Europe. But now it is in mass. It is very evident. And so this is a global political agenda by the power. I was reading recently an article of a sociologist who made a calculation that maybe in 30 or 40 years, when it's now going on, so the majority of the population of Europe will be Islamic. Europe will be Islamic when this will go on, because the European people have almost no children, 1 or 2. The Muslims there, they have 5, 6 to 10 children. And so it is, you can only make mathematics, and then you can see that they will be in the majority.
Fight the bomb of land. Dead to America, dead to Trump. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. Oh my God. Sit down.
Now, you see how near stupid we are as a people. Now, this person was in a plane that was bound for Scotland, and then suddenly he stood up shouting that he would bomb the plane. Death to America, death to Trump, Allah Akbar. Now, when he was charged upon and pinned down, you heard somebody shouting, "Oh my God!" Now, that "Oh my God" was the man's right is being violated. How stupid, can we be mentally? Now, you see, it is true that as Christians, we are supposed to be gentle. We're not supposed to fight and kill, but not. I don't think that also includes when you are to defend yourself. Now, I remember when the Lord Jesus was about to go to get this money, he asked the people, "That sword I told you to put away, where is it now?" They said, "Have it." Said that will be enough. So that's actually a time to wield the physical sword, right? Now, these people are they're so audacious. That happened in a plane. And look at here, in an airplane, somebody was doing Allah Akbar in a plane, and everybody was watching him.
They come and ask him, "Will we straight away?"
Unbelievable. Just look at that. In a plane.
No.
Now, this happened in UK, Sharia in UK. Look at it. They're another man's land, and they came to take over another man's land.
You don't come in England and raise a...
Now, this person that is speaking here now, you see, unfortunately, wouldn't have the power to drive these people away. You heard Sharia for UK. Now, I bet you, Christians cannot do something like this. Those police guys there would arrest them.
Palestinian flag that you can't raise in your own country. Don't do that. That's disrespect. I guarantee no Muslim here go to Dubai and raise a Palestinian flag there. Even in Qatar, you can't do that. You can't do that, my friend. So why do it in Europe? Because of human rights? Because you're allowed to? Those things have to stop. You don't invade anybody's country to take over. The country is not yours. The democracy is built by the people, of the people, and voted for those people. So you come and you integrate to build a society while you build yourself. That's what the integration is for. But you can't go. I say this loudly on camera. Wherever you're from, whoever sent you, if you do not like it here, go home. Go home. Go home. Why I say that? Bold, I'm going to say this. If England or Europe is a kufa land, it is where all the infidels live. Nothing good comes out of this land. All the people are dogs and they're scourged. Why would you leave Middle East, where you have all the milk and honey, and come to live among swines? Why would you do it? If you're from Jordan, you have to pass Yemen, Saudi Arabia, you have to pass Doha, you have to pass Qatar. And if I bumped into Qatar, there's no way I'll be in England. Because nobody works. Everybody has a free life. Everything paid for by the king. And you're Muslim. And you want to have democratic freedom in a kufa land.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me about Muslims' illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal
failed.
immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland. And we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
And recently in China, I learned that it has been considered as being mentally retarded. And so I saw some mosques being pulled down in China. Now, even if this is a fulfillment of a prophecy, but I tell you that the prophecy may have seen how stupid and foolish governments will become, people that run governments that would want to be politically correct. Look at that hypocrite now, labeling the man a hypocrite, a racist, because he is determined to protect and keep his people. Now, what happens tomorrow if another political leader comes up and begins to see this stance in a different view? And what will happen? These people will erode the place. Now, it is disturbing. And why am I thinking that some very powerful individuals are behind these people? Now, look at the ones that are ravaging Nigeria here. Look at the kinds of sophistication that they have, the kind of sophisticated weapons they parade. Now, what you're saying is not, it's not the armed forces of a nation. These are terrorists. These are terrorists. These are terrorists. My people. These are terrorists.
Oh, Akbar.
And their impunity is another thing. Now, they believe they can do anything and nobody can do them anything, from the one doing Allah Akbar in the plane. Now, this one walked into a church. People were in a church service there, and he opened his mouth right in the church, was doing Allah Akbar. And, oh, Christianity, chai. Sometimes I begin to think, are we really doing the right thing? Could somebody not have stopped that man? Nobody did anything to stop him, because that was a desecration. If that was the holy place of Christ, that was a desecration. Couldn't somebody have walked up to him and said, no, you can't do this? At least that is the Western world. They can't invade the place like that, like they would have done in Nigeria here. Now look at them walking with their guns inside civilization, attending weddings and parties, and you tell me that the government doesn't know about it. Look at them. I say the government doesn't know about it. How is it possible that these people will be so bold, very bold, to parade these kind of things in a town with canopies? I believe this was a wedding ceremony of one of their kinds, and you are telling us that the government don't know about this. It is very difficult to believe, and I cannot go ahead to make a very direct allegation or accusation against the government. But why then do we have the armed forces? Why then do we have the armed forces? You have government negotiating with these people, and while they are coming, they come with their guns. They come with their AK-47s. It's difficult to believe. Very, very difficult to believe. Very, very difficult to believe. Anyways, we'll move on.
Yesterday, I spoke bitterly at Kubon, a village in Boy district, because of the killings. These people came and they killed 7 people. What actually pains us most is it has already been in record that the Moravul man has never attempted attacking a person. We have never done that. We've been piping our youths, and indeed the Moravul man is a law-abiding person. Yet these people, they are persisting. What actually is paining us most is when our youth, stand to defend, to react, the security personnel are fighting us. They are fighting us. Most of the casualties in the hospitals, they were injured by these soldiers. I don't actually know. Have they come to secure the life of people or to fight the people? Knowingly that the Fulani man is the man that is always attacking us. They knew, and they have done nothing about it. Besides that also, I want to say this to your hearing, Commissioner of Police. Hear this very, very well. The people used to come with sophisticated weapons. Sophisticated weapons. I have an exhibit of what happened. What is this? What color? Which color is this? Is this not army green? This is what they use. But when our boys will stand with their local, I say local, just local made gun to protect their land, your people will fight them and will also collect it. We are bitter about that one. We are bitter about that one. And so we want to say this categorically, that if these people will not, if they will not support us, if they will not support us, please clear them away. What happened at Yambas? What happened at Yambas? The soldiers were sending our youth away, and the Fulani people were burning our houses, and they didn't stop them. And they just stood, and they allowed them to burn our houses. Nothing was done about that. Sir, enough is enough. What this woman has just said, I want to emphasize on that. People saw it. After the killings, the soldiers brought 3 hillocks and they convey all the full animals back. How do we interpret that? That is our grievances. Thank you for coming, creating your time to come.
So how do you interpret that? How do you explain that? If the soldiers are supposed to keep the people, protect the locals that don't have anything. Now, look at that. The terrorists came with, sophisticated weapons that only soldiers could handle. Now, they have their own locally made guns. And even that, they are not allowed to use. And the soldiers that came, instead of fighting the insurgents, they started fighting against the locals. And they came and evacuated oh my God. So if anybody says that the government has a hand in this whole thing, now remember that when the Antichrist will come, it is still the government that will work against the people. We are going somewhere.
This is how they supply these banditries, food and ammunitions. These Boko Harams and banditries, you can imagine. Even after supplying them these things with chopper, Nigerian governments cannot even trace where the chopper is coming from and where the chopper landed. You can imagine the kind of weakness we have in our security system.
Are we really weak, or that we are just complicit? I don't think that this is weakness. It is rather wickedness. God.
Look, I am a Muslim, but I cannot live in an Islamist theocracy. I can live in a Christian government based on their constitution, because that is where peace lies. I can't live in a place where ISIS rules the area. That's no Muslim with a brain that works would want to live under ISIS, right? And when we come to the West trying to warn the governments and intelligence agencies about what is happening, about the people we've fled from, we have this new political correctness agenda that tells us, oh, we're the racists, we're the ones who are traitors, and the extremists needs to be understood and embraced, and they have a point, let's listen to them. And sooner or later, they're in parliament, they're in government, and there you go in America, you have Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib changing the narrative in Washington that is now affecting the whole, influencing and affecting the narrative around the world, attacking Jews, attacking Christians, and this is just the beginning. So if Christians don't wake up, Christian leaders don't wake up, then we Muslims who fled from extremists can't help you anymore. We tried warning you.
Islam is not compatible with Western civilization, period. I'm not talking about individual. We're talking about the macro ideology where many of them gather together and what that metastasizes into. So I want you to try to filter out any individual interactions, because that is a distraction from what is happening civilizationally. How is it incompatible? Number one, we as Christians believe in freedom of speech. We believe that it is our birthright. Islamists do not believe in freedom of speech, period. You cannot question Muhammad, you cannot make fun of him, you cannot question the state. Number two, they do not believe in freedom of expression or freedom of religion. In Islam, in the verses, you are allowed to lie, you are allowed to deceive in front of God as long as it advances the aims and goals of Islam. You are allowed to masquerade a different version of yourself. A foreign concept to those of us as Christians. Because what is the ultimate value claim of Christianity? It is truth. Because our Lord and Savior is truth, and truth became flesh. At the top of all of it, it is truth. In Islam, it is not truth. Truth is not the ultimate Islamic value. It's not. It's power. It's domination, subjugation, conquest. Islam is taking over by force. There's a reason why it is a religion of the sword to create a global caliphate.
While all eyes were focused on New York and Mamdani, 42 Muslims...
All right, so before we listen to this woman, she is just going to re-echo the same thing that has been coming from the beginning. And if you look at the way these people are gaining, access into places of power and the political relevance, you would understand that indeed this is their new version of jihad. And they said jihad could be through the ballot or through the bullets. So in America and in the Western world, they are ultimately now using the ballot system until they have reached the threshold where they can now use bullets to force people to begin to do what they want. I wonder if is it that there is a spiritual connotation to this or what? I don't understand, because I'm feeling frustrated. Listen to this woman. She has been shouting this for a very long time.
Muslim candidates backed by terror-linked network have seized key offices across America, proving that the Muslim Brotherhood plan to infiltrate and destroy America from within is now a reality. 76 Muslims ran for office nationwide. 42 won. 3 races still pending. The 42 Muslim officials now occupy positions in some of the most influential jurisdictions in the country, from New York's mayor office to Virginia's executive branch, from Michigan's heartland to locals. The newly elected officials span at least 9 states: New York, Virginia, Michigan, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. The list includes 6 mayors, 4 state legislatures, 20 city councils and commissioners, 6 school board members, 2 judges, and 3 other political positions. You've seen me talking about the Muslim Brotherhood plan for America and holding this document in my hand. They told us the plan. Now we're watching it unfold. This plan was written in 1991. We are 34 years into, and as a refresher, here's a paragraph titled, Understanding the Role of the Muslim Brother in North America. Quote, the process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process. The brothers must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hand. The last page lists 29 front Islamic organizations in the US, including the Muslim Student Association, which Mamdani was a member, and IAP, which later became CARE, Council on American Islamic Religion. These Islamic organizations are celebrating a stunning milestone, the most significant wave of Muslim political victories in American history, with 42 Muslims elected to office across the United States. You would be excited too to add 42 Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaib's Jew-hating, America-hating people to public office. CARE, the unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorism financing trial in American history, is bragging about their successful political activity. CARE's federal super PAC, the Unity and Justice Fund, is the weaponized financial engine funding and winning U.S. elections. CARE is mobilizing Muslims and mosques as political launchpads to build campaign infrastructure. The result is a political machine operating from the pulpit to the ballot box. The 2025 elections shattered every record for Muslim representation in American politics, marking a historic leap into municipal and state power. CARE and its affiliates are preparing a 2026 directory of elected Muslim officials and expanding programs to mobilize more candidates before the 2026. The media calls this a historic first. Terror-linked CARE calls this phase 1. And what is even more scary, they locked shields with the left, whom I call useful idiots, working together to destroy America and everything you and I stand. This is why you need to be engaged now. We need you in this fight, especially as the anti-Semites and anti-America unite. Join me and actforamerica.org as we mobilize the nation. We need to fight to preserve America's values and freedom. Start a chapter, become a member, volunteer. We are organizing neighborhoods nationwide, bringing people together who are as concerned about the transformation of our country as we are. Time to commit that America will not be destroyed under our watch. If you don't have time to start a chapter or volunteer, donate $26 to our 2026 campaign, and we'll send you a copy of the Muslim Brotherhood Plan. Become a partner and help us fight 24/7 to save our country. Share this video. Go to actforamerica.org right now. Join us and donate. Together, we save America.
So here comes the question. Is this the true definition of 666? Because while they are forcing themselves to be part of governance, and the Antichrist will actually govern, it will come by politicking, it will come by through governance. And the Bible has told us that the endangered species during that time of the government of the Antichrist actually will be the Christians. And you know that under the sun, these people hate Christianity more than, and in fact, so if you're not a Christian, you are an endangered species. So I look at this description or this explanation from this pastor, and I don't know if it will make sense to you like I am looking at it.
What is the mark of the beast? No man might buy or sell save he have the mark or the name or the number of the beast. Mark, name, number. We're all about the mark. We forget about the name and the number. For it is the number of a man, and the number is 666. It's not 666. That's a translation. That's the number. How many can see it? Can you see it? The cross swords? Bismillah, which means in the name of Allah. And by the way, when you go to jihad, you wear this on your forehead. See where they're wearing it? On their foreheads. This is what he saw. It was Aramaic. The Bible's written in Aramaic, not English. So we look, we go, 666. No, that's what he saw. X, Aleph, S. Can you see it now? Bismillah. That's what he saw. The name of the beast. Bismillah. In the name of Allah. When I saw that symbol, I was like, dear God. If that doesn't shock you, I don't know what will. Oh my Lord.
Well, it is also absolutely important that I say that this explanation may be wrong, even though that it is looking like it is true. For a very long time, a lot of people have tried to decipher who the Antichrist is and try to decode the number of the beast, because the Bible says that it is the number of a man. And what he said there was Bismillah, in God's name, right? That is in Allah's name. Now, whether right or wrong, now the truth is that the activities of these people is enough to give everybody a concern. Giving us concern is not that I'm concerned that the prophetic word of the Lord Jesus about the end of time is coming to pass. That is not the concern. But the concern here is that I still think that even though that this is here, if people who are responsible for the security of lives and properties in all nations, if they do the right thing, if they take the right policies, if they do the right thing, these people will be caged. Now listen, make no mistake. Countries like Turkey was never an Islamic country before, but docility and irresponsible lifestyle and character from those who should have done something and failed to do it led to those places being what they have become today. And as much as we have said this, like I said, he may be wrong, he may be right, but what the Bible says is that number 666 was the number of a man. All right. So a lot of people have tried to fix people's names, to eat, and they even mentioned some persons who probably was the Antichrist. At the end of the day, those people were wrong, and the people they mentioned have come and died. Now, it is important we know this truth and live for the Lord. Now, the prayer, as we pray, we should also include in our prayers the strength. I do pray and say, Lord, whatever you did to the 3 Hebrew youths that made them not to fear the fire when they were faced, death, do the same to me. Do the same to my generation, and do the same for everyone that is calling on the name of the Lord. Whatever may, we will not deny Christ. Whatever may come, we will stand waiting for whatever the Lord allows to come our way. Thank you, and God bless you.
We have no fear.
All right, I'm done. I will leave you to think of this, but I think this is the time that if we're even praying, let us also pray for strength. The strength to be able to pass through this difficult time, and the strength and commitment, the faith not to deny the Christ. Thank you, and God bless you. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, from me to you. Shalom.